Take your team to new heights with training you can trust from CBTC. Unlock your team's potential with affordable seminars and customized training in topics like leadership, safety, manufacturing, transportation, and technology. CBTC is more than a provider. We are your partner for talent upskilling, licensure renewal, recertification, and much more. Discover the impacts that come with our training, from heightened productivity to enhanced teamwork and a commitment to a safer workplace. Visit cbtc.edu/workforce solutions to get started today.
Well, hello and welcome to the latest episode of Pablo Center's Beyond the Stage podcast. I am Kathy Wright, the Director of Talent and Booking here at the Pablo Center. And today I am so incredibly excited to welcome our guest to the show, Jarius. And Jarius is one of the cast of the Book of Mormon, which by the dropping of this podcast will already have invaded Eau Claire, but so incredibly honored to have you be with us today and to learn about life in Broadway. So Jarius, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. Thank you.
I love this. We're doing this one over Zoom, which is really cool, but you have you must travel with this whole podcast setup, which is incredible.
I do actually. Before we started recording, I was doing a little Halloween drop that'll drop on Halloween. So I'll give you a hint. It's very Nightmare Before Christmas kind of vibe.
Oh,
Which,
interesting.
ironically, I also have my Friday the 13th t-shirt on. I'm a big Halloween. I love a good slasher. I'm a big so I'm in the season.
I'm the opposite. I do not like to be scared. If you jump scare me, there will be blood. I'm not, and I have a kid that loves scary movies. I do not.
Oh man, I think I've been trying to go see Black Phone 2 for a couple days now, and I just have not found the time. I watched the first one in my hotel room in Chicago, and I was like, all right, time to see the sequel. And ironically, it's out right now. But yeah, I grew up watching the OGs, the Freddys, the Michaels, the Jasons. I've seen Freddy versus Jason several times. I've seen every Halloween. I don't know, but ironically enough, I do not like haunted houses. I don't like spontaneously being jumped out at because my fight or flight kicks in and it's mostly fight. So I'm I don't want to hit a scare actor. I'm not that person, but I have to defend myself. So I'm excited to drop that. But yeah, I actually travel with this. I actually started traveling with it more this time around. Just I wanted to try some new content, try some new things. One thing a secret thing that not too many people know, I also do songwriting. So I've been wanting to self-produce some of my stuff on the road when I have time. So I have my MIDI keyboard and this setup and everything. So it actually kind of has come in handy. So when I got the email about, hey, you're gonna do a podcast, I was like, I got my interface, I got my mic, I got my pop filter. Let's go. Good audio.
I love it. I love it. Well, like I said, we're thrilled for a million reasons. The Book of Mormon has been on. We solidified the show about a year ago. It's the second sit of Book of Mormon in Eau Claire. It sold out immediately the last time it was here. 4 shows, which was incredible. We have 3 shows coming up this weekend. There are very few tickets left. They'll be gone probably by the time we get done recording this today. But what a cool program to be a part of. So because this is actually your second time around with book, correct?
It is my second time with the book. So my first time I started back in August 22, I think was our first rehearsal in New York, and it was crazy walking in and you see this book of your name on it. You got your name badge and you see the cast photo and you're meeting everybody for the first time, and it was crazy. And I got to do that well up until March of last year in 2024. And I took a little bit of a break. I moved to New York for the first time, which was an amazing experience. 'Cause I've mostly been based out of Atlanta for most of my career. So I left the tour just to try something. I was like, I want to try something new, see what I'm made of. And I did. I got to produce a show at 54 Below, and really kind of get to know the lay of the land in New York and everything. And did a small little stint in Sarasota, Florida on a project, and then went back to Atlanta for a little bit. And so right around March or April, I saw that there was a casting notice on Actors Access, and I was like, okay, could I see myself going back? And I was like, yeah, I could see myself going back. But what I was not expecting was when I reached out to my agents, I was like, hey, would you mind reaching out to the team and see if there's any interest in me coming back, or or is my spot available? And so they got word back and they were like, actually, they want you to audition for Mafala. And I was like, okay, was not expecting that. And I never, everybody was like, did you ever understudy this? Like when you were on? I was like, no, I stuck to my one ensemble lane and that was it. But, just hearing it after a while, I kind of got used to it. I watched the previous Mafala Lamont do it so many times. So it was kind of in my ear. And so I did the audition, waited for a little bit, and my agents were like, hey, so they want to make an offer. And I was expecting to go back to Madala, and I was like, okay. And I got the notice, and it was like, Mafala, I kind of like sat back in my chair and I was like, is this real? Is this really happening?
It's happening. It's
It's
happening.
happening. And I remember just, had my little points and whatnot, of things. And I mean, once the contract was signed, I went right into like workshop mode where I was like, let me find my script. Let me go back over my lines, some new lines. Let me make a new cue line recording. Let me listen to like, I really started getting right back into the groove of it. So by the time we got to rehearsals, I had my lines ready. I knew my songs, I knew what songs I was singing. And it was just a fun play with the creatives, and just finding my version of Mafala. And that's been actually kind of the cool thing now, is like finding him more and more as the show goes on, and
So
really
you really do get a little creative freedom into kind of making the character your own.
yeah. But and the creatives, they'll have like little notes here and there about like how to delve more into it. I got some really good notes from when the creators were in town in Chicago, and I've implemented that a little bit more into the character. But I love I really do enjoy working with this team because they do allow a lot of like, let me try this, and see, and if it doesn't land, and they'll correct here and there. But I really have gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm plugging different things for my own life. I've talked about this in previous interviews, like watching my dad be a dad at an older age now and seeing different layers of him, especially like his funnier side and like his caring side, but also remembering like he's like ex-military, ex-army, so there's like also like the stern, very like side, and I'm like, okay, how can I plug dad into this? And so he actually got to see the show during our Atlanta engagement, which was a whole different thing, like Atlanta being my hometown and bringing that show home and having people from as young as like knowing me since I was 5 all the way up until like my high school teacher who actually kind of prompted me into going to school for vocal performance. She came to the show, and so when my dad came, we were on the stage after the show, and ironically, we have the same initials, and so I was like, "Hey, there's two James C's on the stage," and he just kind of chuckled and whatnot. Uh, but those are very special moments for me, and I talked about him a lot, and I'll send him the clips when I reference him because it is a part of me and those experiences as a whole. You talk about beyond the stage. There's so many things that go into this line of work and this performances that don't necessarily have anything to do with the accent, just kind of is a life thing. And you just kind of bring life to something that people get to see, for two shows or one show or, whatever. So it really is a special thing to bring a character to life.
We had Hadestown last year, which was incredible. And
Ah, love
I'm
Hadestown.
relatively new to this world and very new to Broadway.
Hmm.
I spent 30 years in country music festivals, and so for
Oh,
me, it's
nice.
very different. So our first night, um, Orpheus was a like 6'4" African American man, and then he got sick that night. So then
Mm.
Orpheus was a very short, pale white guy the next night. And to see the contradiction in the character was incredible from one night to the next. You know, the
Mm-hmm.
first evening he came out and he had this huge, powerful voice. And then the next night, this other guy comes out. I'm like, what happened? But wow, like, and so same character, but
Yeah.
like totally different take on it. Just changed everything so dramatically for me that, and that's something I've never experienced before. You know, if you have George Strait's going to walk out on stage.
Yeah.
So to see this kind of two different Orpheuses was
Mm-hmm.
incredible. And knowing the understudy isn't always necessarily kind of the same human being, like
Yeah.
and so I can't even imagine as a cast, like how did they have any pivoting to do that evening, because Orpheus was a whole different human.
Yeah, I think we've experienced that just from time to time. Things happen. You know, people get sick,
Mm-hmm.
injury, you know, it's just kind of the nature of the beast at times, especially on tour. And I think one thing that I always try to keep in mind, no matter who's on stage, is just play along. It's
Yeah.
and really like stick to the things that I know I need to do for my character's arc and journey, but also allow that journey to kind of maybe like take a different turn here and there, just based off how that person says the line differently and reacting and different stuff like that. And I even think about like Mafala as the character. I mean, this show's been going on since 2011. And I've seen it t two or three times on Broadway. I saw it the first time I ever saw it was 2018 on tour. Um, in Atlanta, and that was like I was just like, what is this? But I remember just enjoying every bit of it, like laughing and leaving the show laughing. And I remember right before I hopped on tour in 22, I found the playbill from that time. And I remember then going to see the show when we were in rehearsals, and some of those people had transferred from the tour to Broadway. And so it was this thing. But I was thinking, like, when I was crafting my file, I was like, how do we make him different? Like, I am nowhere near a father at this point in my life. I'm still in my uncle phase. I was like, I'm very much in my Uncle Jay
Best
phase.
phase. Best
uh,
phase.
and so I'm
You're
like, how
still
do
cool in the
Look, I'm
uncle
still
phase.
cool. My niece, she thinks I'm the coolest. She tells me all the time, when are you gonna start traveling so you can take me to the movies? I'm like, okay, all right. It's like
Is
7 year
is
old
she in
telling me what to
Atlanta?
do. Yeah, she's back in Atlanta. She just turned 7 back in July. And so right before I headed back to tour, we had our uncle and niece time together for her birthday. So I took her to a little amusement park adventure and we rode rides. And I said, you can have anything you want, it kind of thing. I was like, it's fine. I had to apologize to her mother because she was definitely hopped up on sugar by the time I dropped her off. But
All I will do is, as the youngest of three children, and I used to do that with my nephews all the time, paybacks happen.
I know my
So
time
your
will come.
sister's going to be like, sorry, they're all hopped up on sugar here. Remember when you thought I
I
sent my
was,
brother like a 7,000 piece Lego one year for his boys for Christmas. He's like, yeah,
oh
you
man. Yeah, I
yeah,
know
so
my time will come,
yeah.
but no, I'm trying to figure out how to layer all that, like I said, layer all of that stuff in, and how you approach the character. So my version of Mafala may look different than my understudies, may look different from the Mafala that's on Broadway or Australia, like it, and that's kind of cool. Like everybody has their different way of doing it, and when you see it, it's like, oh, okay, I like that. Like that's different. Like and I would do it, and you hear the lines different. So it is one of this like kind of paradox of like we're doing the same thing yet very differently, and it works for everybody. So I definitely like that part. And like I tell kids all the time when I used to do career day back in Atlanta at one of the elementary schools my mom was connected to, I always told them I basically get paid to play dress up. That's like the easiest way I can explain it to elementary kids. I was like, I get paid to play pretend, and it's the coolest thing.
And you mentioned Atlanta, and I really want to dive into that because I know
Yeah,
that where you came from is very important to you. And
yeah.
for those people that tune into our podcast, and Jarius, to bring you up to speed, our last guest was a gentleman by the name of Dennis Beal, and he runs an organization in our community called the Power of Perception,
Mhm.
which is we're a 0% diverse community. And so he runs a mentorship program for Black and biracial youth in our community. And we had Black violin here. And so we had 75
Oh, nice.
power perception students and mentees in that audience. And I know for both Black violin and Dennis, the importance of those youth seeing someone that looks like them
Hmm.
on stage doing this was so incredibly important. And,
Yeah.
and reading up on you and getting to know you a little bit, that's really a large part of your story as well, isn't it?
It is. It is. Like I said, I'm born and raised Atlanta man. I talk about being from the 404. It is deeply ingrained in my DNA. So much down to the foods that I like. I'm a lemon pepper fanatic when it comes to wings.
Ah,
I can't go to certain places that have terrible wings. And I'm very much a wing critic because I'm like, back home, we got too many places where you can get good wings, and one of them is attached to a gas station. Um, so, but
stranger
no,
things have happened.
look, stranger things have happened, but no, I am very
What
thankful.
kind of our best restaurant in town is in the Holiday Inn. So,
Oh, look, there you go. But no, like Atlanta is such a special place, and not from a kid also to like the beginnings of my professional career has such a big part. But I do remember at a young age not like being in certain circles and not having people look like me, and it kind of would jolt me. And I was like, okay, where am I doing? Am I like? But I
well,
do
because
remember
you
the
were originally mechanical engineering.
which is kind of weird that when people hear they kind of have like a, wait, what? But I was mind you, in a performing arts magnet program at this point in my time. So I am doing things. I'm also like, I just come out of like being a harpist from the time I was in the sixth grade to the time I was a sophomore in high school. So I had like this musical element to my life. I'd done acting plays in church and in the community and done speeches. My mom had kind of like raised me on Shakespeare and music of all genres. Um, I'd been fascinated with voice acting, and like in came this random thing of mechanical engineering because my godfather, he worked at Lockheed at the time. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to work on planes and do different stuff like that. And I was like, I know the salary is really good.
Right.
And so, but I could just never get away from the arts. It was just always there. And the teacher that I mentioned who came, Miss Evelyn White, who came to the show when we were in Atlanta, she was one of the people during that time that was like, you need to look at school for mechanical engineering. For vocal performance, excuse me. And I was like, oh yeah, yeah, I guess whatever. She was like, no, 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 no. Like you have a gift that you need to foster. And sure enough, I applied to pretty much every school but one for vocal performance. There was only one school I actually applied to for mechanical engineering. I just wanted to see if I could do it. Um, yeah, but like I said, I couldn't get away from it just because there had been so many instances of the arts being integral. Like I'd done district honor course and all state, like 3 out of the 4 years I was in high school. I felt more comfortable like on stage than anything else. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'll do this thing. But then like when I came back for after I got my undergrad at University of Alabama, I came back for my master's at Georgia State, which then was another layer because you're in the heart of the city. Like Georgia State is literally planted in downtown Atlanta. And so you come in contact with, the symphony and the Alliance is there, the Fox is there, um, the Georgia Dome. You have all these places. You also have like many of my colleagues and fellow students like we're doing gigs throughout Atlanta, and asking you, hey, can you do this? I'm doing church gigs. So like all of these things are like taking me down this road of where I'm getting like integrated into the Atlanta community, and then getting a part of there's an organization called Blacked, which is a lot of the Black artists within Atlanta, on various levels, whether it's on the technical side, the performance side, director. And that was an intricate part of me really kind of finding my people as well. So anytime I'm in Atlanta and they have something going on, I always try to connect with them because I tell them, no matter where I go, I'm from here. Like, and I will assist however I can and whatever mission they need or, so they've been very integral. So like, there's just so many layers where like, no matter where I go, Atlanta is just a part of me. And I'm thankful for every moment. I'm excited to go home for Thanksgiving, to be just entrenched in Georgia. There's something about Georgia fall. I don't know what it is. There's always my favorite time of the year is like Georgia fall, driving like down different streets and the leaves are changed. You got a jacket on. It's a beautiful sight. If I encourage anybody, especially up in North Georgia, like come to Georgia, enjoy fall, and it is truly life changing.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I'm sitting here in my office, I'm looking out the window, and this is, well, we're about a week post glory, but this
Mm,
today is Wisconsin in its glory. I mean, the colors are changing, the river is flowing, it's 54 degrees, it's sunny, and this is, fall is spectacular here,
nice.
and that's awesome. I want to touch base a little bit on, this really interesting brain of mechanical engineering and arts, because at Pablo Center we are a cultivator of STEAM programming,
Mm,
science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, and I'm constantly surprised at how often there's an intersection of so much that happens.
yeah.
And so I love when a mind rolls in the room that's like, you're literally a walking billboard for STEAM, right?
Yeah.
And and understanding too the theater here, the Pablo Center, our university theater department sits in the building as well, and so I
Nice.
love watching the students really get the opportunity to see all components of what it takes. One of the students that just started in Young Frankenstein a couple weeks ago
Wow.
is a finance major and a music minor. And I kind of looked at him like, wait, what? And he said, I want to go into finance in this business.
Yeah.
So I love how you don't ever have to give up your love of the arts because you
No.
want to be an engineer or you want to be in finance. It can always kind of live together for you, which is
Yeah.
incredible. I mean, you're not building airplanes and acting, but
No, no. But if I could, I probably would.
but
No, but
they always talk about like you're either musically inclined or you're mathematically inclined, but you truly can be all of that.
you can. And I actually started having this conversation recently. There are moments where I wish I had done more in my undergrad than I did. And I think that just comes with that just comes with time and learning and like true mentorship at a certain point. Which is why I try to advocate for duality and discovering you. That's the one thing I harp on with young artists. Figure out who you are first and foremost. Like take that journey, take that time, invest in you, try some things, get a good mentor or mentors if under your belt. So like those people can really like, hey, maybe try this. This is what has worked for me. My one of my younger cousins, she just graduated from high school and she wants to be in the arts. And so I've been talking to her a lot about like, how does your resume look? What's your headshots? She messaged me the other day. She had an audition and she was like, I submitted it and I wanted you to check it out and thank you for, all the advice. And I was like, no problem. So she's doing her first cabaret in New York and I posted her on my socials and someone who's in the cabaret with me is a friend of me on Instagram. She was like, I'll look out for her, make sure she's good in New York. I was like,
Oh,
I appreciate that. But there are moments where I was like, I wish I had double majored or minored in something. Because I think you can be multiple things and master
mhm.
them with the right diligence and the right time management. Like I actually started a couple years ago really getting into like graphic design and video editing more. And right now I'm actually doing a course on digital marketing and e-commerce through Google because I was like, I want to kind of like understand this side. My mom has a um her own insurance business with my cousin Belvin Insurance Group. Shameless plug there.
Shout out.
And I've kind of taken over like helping with marketing and things. So that's been kind of like my trial run of like how to assist a company and like growing their base and getting their stuff out there. that's something I wish I had learned, like maybe in college or, trying different things. Because I do remember having a moment where an ex-classmate kind of dug at me a little bit because I didn't start in our opera program right away when I got into undergrad, even though I was a vocal performance major. And people thought that was so odd. They were like, wait, what a minute, why are you not in the opera? And I was like, because I don't know. I just like I haven't had that pull to do it. I had pulls of other things, like I did show choir for a semester. I, was an RA at one point, and like I was trying out different things to see like what actually pulled me. And then eventually I went into the opera program, and it was great. But I wanted to give myself the chance to kind of carve my own path. I've kind of always been that way. Like I'm gonna go do my own thing and
I think
figure
it's
out what
great
I
advice
like.
to our students here too. We live, I mean, we're campus adjacent, and you look at these students and they're so focused on what they're going to do. And I laugh to this day. My degree is in geriatric social work, and I ended up, you know, running music festivals and performing arts centers,
Yeah,
and it nothing ever translated to what I was doing, but diversify, right? Like, don't just put yourself in that one lane and be like, hey, this is what I'm going to do, and all of a sudden you're doing all these other incredible things, and that all comes into play, right? Like
yeah,
you're marketing yourself, right?
yeah,
You have to create your own websites, you have to create your own things as you try and get those acting gigs and all of that. So um question for you. So you're
yeah.
in Duluth right now, correct?
Yes, I'm in
And
Duluth,
you have history
Minnesota.
in Duluth, right?
I do. So Duluth, it's actually a double-edged, I don't want to say sword, that sounds bad. It's a double-sided thing because Duluth is where I first got to realize one of my dream roles of playing Cole House Walker Jr. in Ragtime. That was back in 22. And I actually got to see some of my former castmates last night. They came to our first show, which was it
Oh,
just
how
it,
amazing.
it warmed my heart. So to see them, hug them, I haven't seen them in 3 years, and so it was a very touching moment. But it was also where I taped my initial tape for the Book of Mormon back in 22. And I'm looking at it, and I was like, dang. I wasn't as gray as I am now in 3 years.
Well,
I've got
I
so
always
much gray
laugh.
hair.
I always laugh when you run into somebody like you, and you're like, wow, how did you end up in Duluth? And my favorite answer someone ever said was, somebody lied to me, because I can't imagine coming like from Atlanta in like great culture, great food scene, like, and then you go
Yeah,
to Duluth, where Duluth in the fall, very different from Atlanta fall.
very much.
Food is really just seasoned with cream of mushroom soup. Like, there's no spice up in the Norwegian land. Like,
I was fortunate enough to find a couple nooks and crannies here and there. And it was weird because when I was here, this is much better weather than what I experienced when I was here 3 years ago. Because I was here in February
oh yeah,
to
that's like
April,
that.
and it was a frozen tundra. Lake Superior is flowing nicely right now. It was
Yeah.
ice. People were walking on it. Like, and I'm like, oh, this is better. I like this weather a lot better than what I was going through. Like -3? What? Like we don't have that in Atlanta.
Like,
Like
three below what?
below, is it there's a below? No, like it was definitely, but I'm very thankful for that cast that I had because every once in a while we would host like pizza parties or gatherings at our hotel because we stayed in one of the extended suites, and so we have pizza and stuff. I was able to cook because I had like a little kitchenette and everything, which I always love. Anytime I get a hotel with a kitchenette, game changing because I'm living off of Uber Eats and microwaved meals and
Okay, you're coming to Eau Claire tomorrow, so I'm not going to allow that to happen, because you are staying downtown, and you have
okay, okay.
walkability to some of the greatest places on the planet,
I'm
at
gonna have to
least in
work it in.
my zone.
My coach told me. So, ironically, this is another part of the journey, especially recently. I've always had a terrible time with weight when it comes to tours.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
I just have had a terrible time over the past couple of years of just like either gaining weight or like able to lose weight, but then gaining some of it because you're just in such up and down like places.
Mhm.
But I will say last year around this time, I was, like I said, I was in Sarasota, Florida for a bit, and I made the decision to finally sign up for a coach. And she just so happened to be a friend of mine from high school. who is now on, she's been with Hamilton now for, God, it seems like forever, but she started on the Angelica tour. Now she's on Broadway, but she's, fitness and health and everything. And I'd seen her clients, Jennifer Gale is her name, and had seen some of her clients and whatnot. I was like, let me check in with her. And for the past year, she and I have been locked in on like how to do this, and it's much easier when you're stationary. And so we've been tweaking things, and I found like little hints of things that work for me on tour. And I will say I weighed myself this morning and I'm down 2.2 from last week. So
Fantastic.
it's
Well, then
working.
I don't know if I should ask you about your favorite flavor of ice cream or not, but
You
so
can, you can,
are
you
you
can.
coming to yoga on Friday?
I will be at yoga. I have a mat
Excellent.
actually that I travel with.
Oh, good. So I need to
So I
get one
do.
more.
Yeah. So actually, that's one thing. Went home a while back. I took a little detour because we were doing a show in Columbus, and I was like, oh, I could slide home for a little bit. So I went home, grabbed my mat, and I it has made a difference. I do yoga with Adrienne, who I found
Yeah,
on
yeah.
YouTube.
Uh-huh.
And I actually found her during the pandemic, which I'm sure a lot of people did. And so I've stuck with her for uh, that whole time. So I'm like, oh yeah, I can do yoga. So I'm excited. So that kind of stuff, health and
Yeah.
wellness is something I've invested in more this time around, being back on tour. And I still enjoy my stuff. I still like my favorite ice cream. It's ironic. It's the same Dairy Queen I used to go to when I was here in Duluth for the 3 months. But I love an Oreo Blizzard with extra Oreo cookies. It is my favorite ice cream. Also, anything cookies and cream. I do love a nice salted caramel.
Oh, well,
I
we have my favorite ice cream shop on the planet is across the street from the Pablo Center. And so,
Look,
um,
I don't even call it, so I don't call anything cheat meals. I call them treat meals
treat meals.
because
There you go. Well,
treat
I'm
meals.
excited because on Friday, the several members of the cast and company will be coming to yoga right at the Pablo Center, and my
Yes.
teacher Heidi is going to be leading practice. So I'm really excited about that, and
Oh, I love that.
I'm thrilled because you all have Friday off for, and this is obviously airing after you're here, but it's Halloween,
It
and like
is.
you're slasher guy, like, but no haunted houses.
I
So
don't know. We might. We have found a haunted house my first year on tour. We were in Sacramento, and a bunch of us went to a haunted house. And I was a bit of a scaredy cat, and everybody teased me about it for a while afterwards. But I
I can
enjoy
watch
it.
it on the screen. It doesn't need to be in 3D. That's
No,
my
I
my
I I, I
shoot.
enjoy it mainly because we go at cast and friends. There's a bit of camaraderie because then you have those stories later on. Be like, remember that time you ran over somebody in a haunted house because you were trying to escape? And I'm like, yep, I do remember
I love it. I
that.
love it. That's awesome. That's awesome. So yeah, so you and I'll have to grab an ice cream while you're
Oh,
here because
I
that's
love that. I
yeah,
love
it's
that.
my favorite. And I'm just trying. I have like all these wonderful
No,
things.
no, you're
So
good.
tell me about so obviously Book of Mormon, huge, crazy, incredible opportunity.
Yeah,
What's your bucket list role?
Mr. Aaron Burr. That's by far my top right
Hamilton,
now.
correct?
Hamilton, gotta go with the ham.
Got
It
it.
is something that like I'm so sick that I did not get a chance to see or won't get a chance to see Leslie. I had a brief moment where I could have, and it was like the tickets are a little a little much for me right now. But I've watched, of course, on Disney Plus. I've watched it so many times. I've listened to it. Um, it is something similar to like Mafala. Everybody's played their version of Burr and Hamilton, and I've actually I've worked on it independently, just like at various points in my life. Like, let me see, like at this age, what my bird looks like, or how I can change this one thing. And it is something that I pray at some point it comes to fruition. But also, I heard someone else say this once, and I fully believe this. Aisha Jackson, who plays Daisy on um, the Great Gatsby musical, she said in an interview that there's a role that she wants to do. It hasn't been written yet. And I've
Oh,
always been intrigued by that answer because I do feel like at a certain point there are roles that you can easily tap into and whatnot, but it's something special about like originating a role or having a role that's written specifically with you in mind that does something a little bit differently. And who knows, maybe I'll have to pull a Lin-Manuel and do it myself and
You know
you
what?
know,
Go
that's
for it. I
okay.
love it. I love it. And I
Um,
don't doubt that you wouldn't do it and be incredibly
that is another
successful.
layer of my artistry. I have a couple friends who do music for musicals and written some amazing music for some TYA shows and whatnot. So I'm like, hey, nudge, nudge, one of these days we might have to collaborate.
Exactly. Well, and coming in, coming out of the music industry, there's so many songwriters that are like, I specifically wrote this song with this artist in mind. And
Yeah,
it's always
yeah.
fascinating when somebody else cuts it and they're like, oh my gosh, I never even envisioned it. Or they wrote it for a man to sing and all of a sudden a female picks it up and it's
It
like, whoa.
changes. So I had a song that I wrote back in, I want to say it was 2015 maybe. I just come back from uh my undergrad studies and it was a summer right before going into grad school and I met this girl at the time and everything was all nice and new and whatnot and I was working this parking lot job and I remember writing this song and it was like a doo-wop and it reminded me so much of Bruno Mars's doo-wop album and I was like he would be perfect for this and so I definitely I'm like maybe one day I'll slide it to Bruno and be like hey I wrote this with you in mind if you ever want to do
Just
it I don't know
lay it down. That would
yeah
be
just
fine with
whatever.
me. Awesome. So I'm going to close because I just learned this. This summer, an intern that I was working with is an
Mm.
Alabama grad.
Roll
And
Tide.
I know. So she taught me this. So there's some friends of mine that they do high low, like what was your high today? What was your low today?
Yeah.
And she taught me that when you go to Bama, you
Mm-hmm.
have high tide, low tide, and roll tide.
Yes,
So like
ma'am.
what was the best thing that just recently, what was the thing you wish you didn't have to deal with? And then what was something that totally surprised you? So
Ooh.
Jarius, give me your high tide, low tide, and roll tide.
Oh, my high tide. Honestly, because it just happened last night. It was definitely seeing my friends from ragtime and being back in Duluth. T I texted my mom when we got to the hotel and I said, I am a little emotional. This place, like the show is one thing, but like that time period of camaraderie and learning things, and then having this tape that has, we talk about one of the songs, one of the lyrics in the Hello that everybody knows is this book will change your life, and it really has. It's changed a lot in a lot of different ways. So that would be my high tide for sure.
So your heart is full.
It is. It is. I'm excited. I think some more people are coming tonight. So I'll be excited to see who's in attendance and who I can just hug and wrap my arms around like, since it's been 3 years and haven't done it. So yeah.
That's awesome. Well, you're not in Duluth in February because that would be your low tide, but any low tides?
I would say anytime recently that I've had a terrible night's sleep because my mind
Oh,
likes to be so active. I have a habit of running random songs like my mind's a jukebox. And so I'll try to like unwind after a show and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm sleepy. Let's go to bed. And then I'll start singing in my head and I'm like, okay, all right, let's go. It's bedtime. And it's like, nope, we got a couple. We want to just run these 32 bars over and over. And then the next thing I know, it's 7 a.m. And I'm like, did I sleep? And I was like, I'm not sure actually.
all right. What's your roll tide? What's the thing in the last couple of weeks that's just surprised you and made you happy?
Oh, that my
Or
Bama
just surprised you
boys,
maybe? What's that?
my Bama boys, they
Your Bama
won.
boys. They did it.
They won against South Carolina, even though it looked like it wasn't gonna happen. So it made because that happened during a two-show Saturday, and I remember the game was finishing right as we were getting ready for the second show, and I remember I was like, "Oh, they won! All right, let's have a great second show." So that was definitely a surprise. It definitely made that second show even more special. So I'm excited to. I think they might be off this week because it might be fall break. But yeah, anytime my boys surprisingly win a hard fought battle, I'm a happy Bama grad. So
So your Roll Tide is actually Roll Tide.
It is Roll Tide. I got to see two national championships come through my freshman and sophomore year. So, as I told somebody recently, I bleed crimson and white and crystal. So that's
I
it.
love it. I love it. I love it. Well, Jarius, what a pleasure to just spend some time with you today. I can't wait to meet you
Oh
here
yeah,
in
me
a couple
too.
days and show off our town. We're thrilled that the cast is going to have a day to just enjoy Eau Claire in all of its glory and spend some
Um,
time getting to know the city that we call home and we love.
oh, I can't
Um,
wait.
yeah, no good soul food around here, but
Hey, that's fine. If there's a good Mediterranean, Indian, or sushi, count me in. I'm
oh, we've
always
got a
down for
great
those.
Thai place right down the road.
Love a good
So
Thai. Love a good Thai.
there you go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We can't
Thank
wait
y'all
to see
so
you
much for
on our
having
stage.
me. Thank you.